For months, the Everest Base Camp was more than just a destination. It was a symbol. It is the beginning and the end of many legendary journeys to the highest peak in the world. But I know for us mortals, just getting to 5,000 meters above sea level was a challenging 10-day gamble with altitude and the unknown. In early 2025, my husband and I decided we were going to try. We convinced a few friends to join us, bought the gear, booked the package, and began the intense training. Everything, the money, the logistics, the 8 months of preparation, was about achieving that one iconic goal. And here's a spoiler, we didn't make it to the Everest Base Camp. In this episode, I'm going to tell you the story of that trip. More importantly, I'm going to share the crucial lessons I learned about what happens when life unexpectedly throws you a snowball just when you are about to cross the finish line. The biggest challenge in this journey wasn't the distance, it was the altitude. We knew that getting above 4,000 meters is where body starts to struggle to get enough oxygen. Headaches, vomiting, insomnia, loss of appetite are common symptoms. The highest I've ever been was Mount Kinabalu at 4,095 meters, and I've seen hikers vomiting along the trail. The Everest Base Camp trek would push us to literally a greater high. Within 5 days of hiking, we would reach an altitude higher than even Mount Kinabalu. My only proactive defense was to improve my cardiorespiratory fitness. That's actually a big part of the reason I signed up for a triathlon earlier this year. The science was simple. Allow the body to build more capillaries, tiny veins in charge of oxygen exchange in the tissues. The denser the capillaries, the more oxygen the body can extract at any point in time. Seriously, at high altitude, where there's so little oxygen to go around, your body needs all the help you can get. We had done all the preparation we could, we were ready, but not all is well right from the beginning. First, it was the protest in Kathmandu that threatened to cancel the trip for good. And then our commercial flight from Kathmandu to Lukla, which is the starting point of the hike, was delayed indefinitely due to bad weather. But we couldn't possibly let the trip fall apart right from day one, could we? So off we flew on a helicopter to Lukla after each person had parted way with a small fortune of a helicopter fee. Over the next few days, our mountain guide took us to cross many suspension bridges dangling over gushing streams. We hiked through beautiful villages from Phakding, Namche to Dingboche. We spun every pale wheel we saw for good luck. We visited a Buddhist monastery at Tengboche to learn about Buddhist traditions. We ate croissants at a bakery at 3,860-meter elevation, where the proud owner has his oven shipped on a helicopter and carried inside by 18 men. We gave way to potters, yaks, horses, and mules carrying supplies up the mountain. Each hot meal we got to enjoy became so precious, knowing that many people and animals had to work hard to get the food on our table. And yes, the experience was tough. Some of our group members struggled with the intensity of the hike. Hot showers and private bathroom became a luxury. The only thing that kept us going was the thought that we were getting closer to the base camp every day. On day 6, we made our ascent to Luboche at 4,950 meters. This was our last stop before the final push for the base camp. Little did we know everything was about to change. One minute the sky was clear, the next minute we were submerged in thick mist. Then we were hit by a snowstorm. No one expected a snowstorm to happen this early in October. We were not prepared for this weather at all. The almost horizontal snow slapped my face left, right, center as the wind changed directions frantically. I remember I could no longer feel my numb hands, so I looked at them from time to time to make sure they were still there. It was impossible to see very far ahead. The person behind just traced the footstep of the person in front, and every step was a battle against the elements. And by the time we reached Luboche at 4,950 meters, we were frozen to the core. You cannot imagine how relieved I was to finally have warmth and shelter. At the tea house in Luboche, we met a group of Korean ajashis who attempted to go to the base camp earlier that day, but was forced to return. They told us it would be impossible to continue upwards. We were really disappointed. but still held on to a tiny ray of sunlight that the weather tomorrow would be better. But the next day, all hopes were tossed out of the window when our guide confirmed that the path to the base camp was completely blocked by snow. We tried asking if we could stay for one more night and try again the next day, but his assessment was that the situation wouldn't improve even if we waited. We were so close. By right, that day would be the day we hiked up to the base camp, but it would not be. Our guide quickly reminded us that even going down was a challenging task. We would need a group of pioneers to pave the path through the thick snow accumulated overnight. And even then, the path would be so slippery that we would need to proceed with caution. On the way down, we fell sideways, fell backwards, we slid, we skidded, we stepped on thin ice, which broke and plunged our leg into the water. We basically did everything but skiing. There were more than once where I completely gave up on walking down, knowing I would fall flat on my face. I just sat down, slid on my butt, as if I were on a slide. Our focus totally shifted from the disappointment of not making it to the base camp to trying to just survive the next 5 minutes of walking on thin ice, like, literally. We kept walking, and I wondered how many more hours would it take. The sun was setting, and there was no sign of stopping. Suddenly, our guide called for us to stop and pointed into the distance. With wary looks, we turned around, bracing for another disaster. The cloud and mist peeled away, revealing Mount Amadablam, standing majestically in the golden light. Even though I was exhausted and beaten by the snow, I couldn't help but be in awe. I just wanted to enrich the vivid picture in my mind's eyes with as many details as possible, so that when I thought back to this moment, I would once again stand in front of Mount Amadablam, which was coated in the golden sunlight. Up until that point, my mindset had been simple. Prepare hard and you will arrive. I made plans with near absolute certainty that I would accomplish everything I set out to do. But here, on the side of Everest, I was forced to give up the one goal that defined the entire trip due to factors completely outside of my control. And that disappointment was enormous. We often let the obsession with the final destination, the title, the promotion, the peak, overshadow the beautiful journey we are already on. And that day, I learned the difference between two kinds of strength. Great strength is required to reach the original planned goal, but it takes even greater strength, a rarer, more profound kind, to accept that your path has changed, pivot under pressure, and redefine what success looks like. If this story resonated with you and you want to dive deeper into how to build systems that help you pivot when your plans inevitably fail, check out our earlier episode, Your Willpower Isn't Broken, Your System Is. Thank you for watching The Third Spring. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit subscribe and share this episode with someone who needs a reminder that victory often lies in the pivot, not the plan. Until next time, live well and pursue your why.